Asampa etia. Obanyansa foso wo bunibia wonka na asam. Ze mafutu sam kakre wa asupeme. Yo kofi, oman ya woman, omani ya mamana.
Let me first of all welcome you to my house. My name is Apaalse. I was born and raised in a village called Zoko in the Bongo district. Came down here to attend school. Completed my master's in Moscow Institute of Oil and Gas in 1990. And then proceeded to work in GMPC for some time. Later I was sponsored to do another master's at University College London, master's in micropaleontology. And then I came back and remained working in GMPC till I was seconded to the Ministry of Energy in 2015 as Director of Petroleum. And in 2017 promoted to the position of Chief Director. I have now retired, and I retired in 2019. I was given a 3-year contract to continue as a Chief Director by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The 3-year contract then ended in this year, April, and fortunately right from there I transitioned to pick up a position at the United Nations headquarters in New York as a member of the Commission in the limits of the continental shelf. My other family background, I'm married with 4 children, one girl and 3 boys, and they all finished school now. Well, the last one is still in school. He's probably coming out. I think he's coming out this year. That will be my last head of life. I think that they're fine. They're fine. They've gotten to a stage where all of them gotten educated, and they are in gainful employment. 2 of them are in gainful employment. One is on his own, and the other one is yet to come out. At that point, while I'm retiring, I think that they cannot take off from there successfully. I'm very comfortable, especially with the fact that the last born, who is now in school, is at Apaalse University. So, and if you know Apaalse University, there are people who will take good care of student. So I'm very confident that on passing out, he'll be able to get placement somewhere in the industry. I started religion the very day that I went to primary school, where we became Catholics, right? Our area is predominantly Catholic, and I've been a Catholic from inception of schooling to present day. So I am, and the entire family, fortunately, I got married to a lady who was also a Catholic, so the entire family has been Catholic. However, I must say that the other side, my family side, my uncle's side is a Muslim, and we have the Muslim, and then we have another uncle who is a pagan. So we are 3 religious groups that live in my family. When we get home, we don't even see that. We don't see that. You see, the traditional values overshadows everything. There is not a time that you have said that why is this Catholic praying while a Muslim is not praying? No, we don't have that. As I live here, one of my Muslim half brothers is a Muslim here. He lives just across the road. He's always here. When we are going home for Christmas and that, we go together. When he's having their Muslim celebrations, I go there. We celebrate together. So we don't have problem. When I started working in GMPC, that's 1993. I did a national service in 92, and then 93 I started working in GMPC. Rose from the rank of assistant geologist to the level of principal geologist. While working in GMPC, this issue of maritime disputes and so on came up, and GMPC, it was being handled by Minister of Foreign Affairs and Minister of Lands, and GMPC seconded me to Minister of Lands to work with a committee to establish the maritime boundaries between Ghana and its neighbors like Cote d'Ivoire, Togo, Benin, and Nigeria. And the man who was in charge of this was Professor Dominic Food. There was also the issue of the territorial extent of Ghana's maritime domain. How far can Ghana go from when you stand at the coastline how far can Ghana go and claim as its territory, as part of its territory? And so those were the two things I had to work on. One about the maritime boundaries between your neighbors, and the other the southward extent or seaward extent. How far can any coastal state go? And there are two separate things. Maritime boundary is just it's a boundary, just like boundary between Ghana and Burkina Faso. But we use maritime because this boundary is in the sea. And so this in sea context, instead of saying sea boundary, we say maritime boundary. So the maritime domain, boundaries in the maritime domain are called maritime boundaries. That is it. So it's just a boundary separating you and your neighbor, just like you have on land. The difference is that on land, you can physically put pegs or pillars to see. In the sea, you can't do that. You can't do that. You only use coordinates. Geographical coordinates, point this, these are the coordinates, point that, that's the coordinates. So that is one aspect. The other aspect, which I said the seaward extent, is called the continental shelf. How far the coastal state, any coastal state, can extend its continental shelf into the deeper seas. That is different from maritime boundaries, and that is where I've just told you that I am proceeding to the United Nations to deal with. Ghana made its submission asking for the extension of the continental shelf up to a certain limit, and I spearheaded that. And actually made presentations at the UN at the time, far back in 2012 and so on and so forth. And so at that time, I stood against the Commission and defended Ghana's position before the Commission. So now I am being invited to become a commissioner, that I will now sit down and examine other countries' submission. I'll be part of the group that will be examining other countries' submission based on my experience that I had submitting Ghana's own. And I have to make a basic distinction about maritime boundaries and continental shelf. The work of a commissioner in the continental shelf must not prejudice anything about maritime boundaries. That is, if you are a commissioner, you work on continental shelf. And the agency that deals with continental shelf is headquarters in New York. Maritime boundaries, as you probably know about the Côte d'Ivoire case, the office where you go for dispute resolution on maritime boundaries is called International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, and that is at Hamburg in Germany. So there are two separate things, and a commissioner doing his work about continental shelf must not deal with boundaries. Some other person deals with boundaries. So that's the major distinction. So in Ghana, as far as the law of the sea projects are concerned, or if you like, call it UNCLOS, that's United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. The projects in Ghana are continental shelf and maritime boundaries, and the two of them are distinct. The first thing I should mention is, as I said, as far back as 2004, when Cosmos came to this country, it was our desk that handled Cosmos for the first time. We made the presentations to Cosmos. We made a conviction about the fact that there could be oil in this country, especially in that block. It was made up of myself, the late Isaac Bochu, and then the former chief executive of the Petroleum Commission. He's called Shrink, Theo Shrink. He is now, he just also left Petroleum Commission. So we were working on this block, and the Theo is a geophysicist. He had mapped the area, and then we were geologists, so we were analyzing these geological prospects and did everything together. So in 2005, Cosmos then decided that they wanted a Ghanaian team to come to Dallas to sit with them and work on these things. So we went, shared our knowledge with them, and then 2005 I came back, but I was then moved to another block. So, but we were the originators of that thing. I'm not trying to claim this thing, but these are things that many people don't know. Because the day Kufuor raised the oil like this, the drop of the oil, the people that came to mind were those who were immediately there. Nobody thought of, when everybody thought that there was no oil in Ghana, who spoke out that was oil in Ghana, And you can attest to that. The man, you can check that out. The man who actually brought Cosmos to Ghana is called Owusu. Owusu has written a book on Jubilee Field. And he mentioned my name as one of the contributors to it. So the evidence, that's one. The second thing is that As I said, when the UN came up, this continental shelf and the maritime boundaries, we likened it to a situation where we had the scramble for Africa, where the whole world was trying to share Africa. Europe wanted to share Africa. What is happening now is scramble for the oceans. So all the coastal states, everybody is trying to go as far as you can go. Everybody wants to take, this is my territory, my country, this and so on and so on. So the question came up as to, how about landlocked countries like Burkina Faso? If you do that, how will Burkina Faso have access to the sea? So the UN sat down and wrote this constitution, the UNCLOS, United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, which spells out all these things. So two things came out in terms of, and I'm driving at this to show you my next line of achievement. There were two things: the continental shelf establishment of the continental shelf beyond a certain limit, and then the maritime boundaries. And the precondition for you to be able to present material to the UN or make a submission saying that Ghana can go as far as this extent, seaward, you must be able to tell the UN that as far as the boundaries are concerned, you have no dispute with your neighbor. If you have, you must have a caveat to say that you and your neighbors don't intend, international peace, you do not intend to shake international peace by submitting this. So the first achievement was, how do we get our neighbors, now that oil was being found everywhere, how are we going to get our neighbors to understand that Ghana has no dispute with them? Especially when you look at the maritime boundaries, when you look at the coast of Ghana, the boundaries don't go straight down. They incline like this, and Ghana begins to behave like a King Kong. We are in the middle and we are spreading out. People don't understand that. But you see, the basic thing about that is, when the law was promulgated, nobody did it because of Ghana. Nobody did it because of a particular country. They set the rules, and it so happened that the rules favor Ghana. That is all the issue. Like, for instance, if we begin to draw the boundaries to the east, Togo will be cut off, Benin will be cut off, and Ghana will begin to share boundary with Nigeria in the deep seas. And that is based on scientific analysis. And my achievement in this direction is the fact that I was able to make the submission along with 6 other technical people at the UN. I made more than 10 appearances before this subcommittee to defend the Ghana submission. There were cases where I was turned away because we didn't agree. I had to go and prepare with my team and come back again, and so on and so forth. But eventually, I was able to secure 20,000 square kilometers of extra maritime territory for Ghana. Now, if you add the entire maritime base plus what we got for Ghana, it is more than the land size of Ghana. So if you look at the land size of Ghana, all the way to the north and back to the coast, put it together, the maritime territory that we have is more than that. So just imagine the space that we have in the ocean. So that's another achievement. The second achievement was that there was trouble as to whether Ghana, the oil we found, was it in Cote d'Ivoire or was it in this one? And I said, no, we're going to look at the scientific formula. In 2008, guided by Professor Dominic Fogo, I wrote my first report to Cote d'Ivoire. And I can show it to you. And I warned Cote d'Ivoire. I said, Cote d'Ivoire, the lines that were drawn for us, even though they inclined like that, they were using pencil and ruler. So they were not so accurate. So to some extent, the line favors the existing line that we were using favors Cote d'Ivoire. So if you like, just accept that line and let's sign as an agreement. Cote d'Ivoire refused. When we went to court, the court gave us a line that was then swinging more into Cote d'Ivoire. So for the first time, I guided the Attorney General and the government team to Germany. The lawyers, we met with the external lawyers and so on and so forth. And we won that case just exactly as I had said in 2008. So that's, as you say, is the third achievement. The other ones you can talk about is when I was the chief director of the Ministry of Energy. And you would realize that from 2007, even though the minister has had shaky situations, you realize that the power has been stabilizing from there till now. And it's a team of engineers, a team of advisors, and also the minister, the political heads who actually take the brunt of the problems and who actually ensure that we have the financial muscle to move around that daily. But of course, as the administrator of the ministry for 5 years, I think that I can count it as one of my achievements in the ministries. The first award I got was a long service award in GMPC that I consistently served for about 22 years. So I was given an award there. That's one. The second award that I've had was just last week. Last week Friday. Today is Sunday. Last week Friday. As I told you, when I got to the ministry as a chief director from 2017, every year the head of civil service normally evaluate all directors, all the ministry's chief director. In fact, they evaluate everybody, but we are in categories. So when I will concentrate on chief directors, so the evaluation has been going on with the chief directors. So they send a team, they come and say, at the beginning of the year, these are the targets you set. At the end of the year, how have you progressed with those targets? And so this year, for 2021, the head of civil service decided that they are going to give awards to the top 11 performing chief directors. The ranking they use is any chief director that gets 95 and above. So we are ranked like that. So I was among the top 11 people who earned 95% and above. So I got 95, others got 96. I think the first person got 97 or 98 or something like that. So that is the second award I got as best performing, top performing chief directors in the ministry in this country. And the award is just standing here. I haven't even packaged it yet. So those are the two awards that I mentioned. Number one on the list is late M.O. Boateng. He was the chief executive of GMPC during the Kufuor administration. And you see, this man stands unique in my life, and I would like to thank him and his entire family. One, because when he came to, and I had a very interesting story with him. When he came to GMPC, this is a new president, people were shying away from him. So there was a day he gave some assignment and gave it to somebody to come and give it to me to work on. The fellow didn't give it to me. So I didn't know. So one day I was coming into the lift and he entered the lift. So when I saw the chief executive enter, I stopped. I didn't enter. He said, "Oh, I come in. Are you Apaalse?" I said, "Yeah." "I asked you to do some work for me and you refused. That's why you've seen me. You don't want to enter." I said, "No." Sorry. So I followed him to the office. I said, "I'm not." So he called the fellow. The fellow then came and said, No, he didn't give it to me because he didn't see me. So the M.O. Boateng gave me the task himself to do. So when I did it for him, he said, "Wow, I'm happy that I have come across you." So he went with me to London for that particular trip that he wanted me to go with him and do the PowerPoint presentation. So that's how we came very close. So when this issue in 2005 came about the maritime boundaries and the continental shelf, they were looking for somebody to nominate to second to be the GMPC representative for this thing. And he called me to go. And when he said law of the sea, here I am, geologist. I don't know what law of the sea is. This is law. So I was a bit hesitant. He said, no, you go and find out what it is. Let's come back and brief me. So I went, I came back. I said the whole thing is very confusing, but I'll take my time and read about this. So what M.O. Boateng told me was that whatever it takes, because nobody else says he's ever heard of this thing in this country. So it might be started somewhere. So whatever it takes for you to do this job, come. I'll give you a week, go and prepare and come to. So I went, I prepared, I came. I went onto the net, I took a number of them, and I told you, these are the various courses at Durham University, this is that, this is what I've seen. If I can do these 5 courses, each of them in 2 weeks, if I can do those, I'll be able to handle the issue. And he said, okay, an unwritten agreement. I want to be sure that by the time I leave here, you've done this. And I'm happy to say that before he left, he called me and shook hands with me and said, you have done it. Yeah, so M.O. Boateng is the first person That always remains in my mind. Thank him very much for that, for actually all the things I'm talking today, but for his intervention, I wouldn't have done that. Number 2 is Professor Dominic Phobie. Professor Dominic Phobie played a very key role in this continental self-sufficiency that I'm talking about, because the UN came out with asked coastal states to use 10 years to prepare their request to the UN, and the deadline was May 2009. Here's the case: by 2006, Ghana had not heard of it. So the 10 years was now left to how many years? 3 years. Because 2006, 2009, Ghana would have lost everything. But Dominic Phobie was then at Minister for Lands. And he went somewhere and had a presentation and came and said, what? How can Ghana, people are making presentations, preparing it, how can Ghana lose out on this? So he actually called for a committee to be set up, and that's where my boss sent me to go and join the other team people. And so Dominic Phobie insisted that, in fact, this is very, very strange. Many people will not thank Phobie, but I do. Because Phobie said that this is something that he had, they need 10 years to do. Now we have 3 years. So he doesn't see how he can go and ask a president before for money to be given as allowances if 3 years, for instance, he's not sure he can do it. So he said, okay, we will try, but we need some minimum. So he said, okay, you go. If you are able to prepare the then by 9th May and you make the submission, I'll compensate you people very well. You know what? By the time we got to prepare the documents and everything, 2008, somewhere in December, we didn't vote in that 2008 election. Actually, we voted by proxy. And then we went to sea, prepared every document. And what I did at that time was to get a vessel that would go to sea about 2,000, 3,000 meters, whatever, 5,000 meters. We were stationed there for 1 month. And what I did was that normally you acquire the data, you come back and go to a laboratory in London and prepare. What I did was I contracted a vessel that would also have processing material on board. So we're acquiring the data and processing at the same time. And guess what? When we came out to land in December, MPP had lost the election. Dominic Phobie says, sorry, I'm no more in office. You know, but for Dominic Phobie, we would have lost everything. So even though we were not compensated as a team for doing this work, we are happy that at least we have been able to secure territory for Ghana. I always give this example that people like Apaalse, they play football and they bring caps to Ghana. So you see the cap, so you are able to compensate him. But when you talk of land, because it's in the sea, people don't even see what they are talking about. But the future of investment is in the ocean. It's not on land. You know, especially now that we're talking of green energy and the rest, it is all going offshore. So Dominic Phobie stands number 2 in my life. Theophilus Esfurin, the former Petroleum Commission Chief Executive. He, for instance, I'm a geologist. He's a geophysicist. So normally, the geologist knows one part of science of a rock, and the geophysicist knows the other part of the science of rock. So I blended so well with him, and this guy was such a crack that anything that I was doing in GMP, he was in GMPC before me, more or less guided me throughout some of the technical works that we were doing. And you know, the strange thing was that he was a manager, and he was geophysics manager. I was the principal. But when Dominic Phobie asked who should lead you in this team, who should be the leader of this team, he said I should be. And so, in one vein, I was reporting to him in GMPC as my manager. But anytime we went to this thing, I assigned him work, and he reports to me. That is something I can't forget till today. And as I said, the late Banwe was also somebody I cannot forget, because in Ghana, when you are looking for money to do a project, which is not a project that people can share money right away. Nobody's interested in that. And you see, scientific research, people are not interested in that. When you talk of today, we are going to do Miss Ghana, by the end of the day, people will vote in and bring money, and there will be money around. You will see the attendance. When you say a scientist is coming to give a research report, you won't see anybody there. In fact, you, the journalist, we may see one or two. But if it's a naked woman on stage, all of you will be there. So this is where Ban Wedu distinguished himself. When I was first made to go and talk to him about this continental self, nobody knew about it. And the amount that we needed was 4 million euros. So my minister tells me, the Minister for Energy at the time told me, go and see Ban Wedu for that money, because, in fact, the project was also timely, because that was the time we made the discovery. So everybody said that, yes, for now the oceans, we must go there. So when I went to Ban Wedu, and I still remember this, in the period was so jammed, it was so limited, and we were all struggling. So when they finally ushered me in to see Ban Wedu, they said, yeah, gentlemen, what do you want? I introduced myself. I said, we need 4 million euros. So the man laughed. I said, so what's your name? I said, Lawrence Apaalse. So I should just give you 4 million euros. If I had that 4 million euros, I wouldn't be sitting here. And I said, oh no, we have, you see, this continental survey, you see, it will benefit. I said, yes, now you are talking. You have to introduce the topic to me. You have to let me know that this $4 million euros is not going into the sea, but it's going to bring, but he signed it. And that made us to succeed in paying for the vessel that took us to sea to produce the reports. That's so, Ban Wedu is one of them. Then there's another one, Elizabeth Ohene. She may not even know that she contributed very much to this. She may not know. But she played a very big role. What happened was that because nobody was interested in this type of project, it went to Minister of Lands, where Dominic Phoebe was. So when Dominic Phoebe became Minister for Education, Kufuor says to carry his project there. If he leaves it behind, they don't know whether the next minister will handle it. So Dominic Phoebe were then now reporting to Minister of Education because Dominic Phoebe had moved there. So our first briefing, we went to brief. We're also having this football hosted in Ghana, 2008, Cannes 2008. So we were seated, were about 4 of us briefing Professor Dominic Phoebe. And then Elizabeth Ohene came in and walked past and went back. Then the next time we came to briefing, Dominic Phoebe gave us coupons to go for the football, and we said, no, we are not interested in the football because our time was so limited, so we won't go. Then, that time, Ohene had come in and passed. So and that was the time we were yet to select who should lead the team. And they were proposing me, my manager had proposed me, and I was also afraid. I wasn't very sure what all this law of the sea, what lawyers were going to say about it, and I'm not a lawyer, and so on and so forth. But Elizabeth Ohene passed, and then said, Prof, where have you got all these intelligent people? Time they come here, I see them, they give you the briefing straight to the point. In fact, I'm very impressed. And that's when we looked at. So when we came out, the rest of the team said, you see, you have been saying that you can't do this thing. Look at this. She just passed only once, and she has noticed that you are brilliant. So why are you shy now? That was the day I started to take it. So such a person may not know, but he played a very key role in resolving the impasse in the leadership of the committee that was to handle this particular job. Honorable Ajab, when he came in, he gave me a big leverage to continue to work with this boundary. So that time I was director for children before I moved to chief director. So I was handling the two. And that time it was under senior minister, so I was working under the two ministers. And so on. Then the president is one other fellow who has inspired not only me, but the entire team. And what happened was that before, in 2017, when the government was posted, it was also the time we were preparing to go for judgment So the president called his team and myself, and we asked for our positions and so on. So I gave him our position, and I said, this is what is going to happen from my scientific position. This is what is going to happen. So the president made me to write that down. So write it and give it to him. So I did. And on the judgment day, that's precisely what I wrote down for him was. In fact, he asked me to write it and give it to him. This guy who was then Minister for Information, Hamid. So I gave it to Hamid. Hamid gave it to me. And then, so while we were in Germany, the judgment came as I said. So when we came back, I was in the office for the first time. I got a call from the reception. They called me that they are calling me in Jubilee House, as in I should go. So I got to the gate, they ushered me in, and then here I am. I'm going to see the president. I said, wow. So we got up to the president. Just about 5 minutes, they ushered me in, and what the president said, "Good afternoon, young man. We'll meet again. Thank you very much. I want to acknowledge the contribution you have made to this country. I want to thank you and to shake hands with you." That's it. So, and for that, there's no gift bigger than that. You cannot use $100 million to buy a president's handshake. So that is something I cherish. That is something that I've never forgotten. And ever since, be it a crowd of 1,000 people, 3,000 people, this president will pick me in the crowd and say, "My chief director, how are you?" So I can't forget that. But lastly, on retiring from the Minister of Energy after my 3-year contract, Honorable Matthew Prempe comes in, and he was, as soon as he realized that I was interested in this position at the UN, he immediately wrote to, Minister of Foreign Affairs wrote asking for me to be sent to the UN for this purpose, and he immediately agreed to release me to go on there. So my thanks go to Honorable Matthew Prempe, and then the Foreign Minister, Madam Ayoko Poche, Shelley Ayoko Poche, because she was actually the one who wrote first. It's the Minister of Foreign Affairs that identified me as somebody who was qualified for it. Probably because all the things we were doing in the 2006, 2007 were always passing through Foreign Affairs. So, well, my record is there, she picked it, and she drew my minister's attention. And that's what I brought me today as a commissioner. So I would like to thank her very much as well. Distressing. When I was in secondary school, one of the things I liked so much was history. Unfortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, there was a rule in the school. Anybody who passed maths and additional mathematics had to do science. So I was switched to science. But my interest was actually in history. So today, my hobby is watching documentary films, learning about history, learning about some things like when you have the Ottoman Empire. What is this Ottoman Empire? And you listen to it today, how it came up to be, and you realize that sometimes I watch the documentary and I say, this is just like, Muhammad is just like Jesus Christ. It looks like there are two same people who came at different times, because the preaching that Muhammad gives, peace, don't do that. It's exactly what. So I like to know things like that. Then you go to things like the Roman Empire. You look at how people tortured others in the name of politics, and you ask, has it differed today? Is it the same? That kind of thing. There are people, if you didn't like somebody, you could just lie to the king that this man is sleeping with the king's wife, and your head will be chopped off. Today, do we have it? Yes, it happens. There are revolutions we've seen here where people have accused people wrongly, and they are dead today. So I like history. That is my basic thing. So I like to watch and learn. Sometimes I take notes and so on. The other thing I do in my leisure is reading and writing, and I'm presently writing on these UNCLOS documents. UNCLOS, I want to entitle it UNCLOS Domestication in Ghana, where I will explain exactly in this book what continental self-establishment means and what maritime disputation means, and even beyond that, what are landlocked countries likely to benefit from all these things? Are they in the equation or not? Those are the analyses. In sports, you see, I like athletics. When I was in school, even though I didn't get a medal, but I liked athletics and 100 meters, this 100 meters, 200, those things. So I watch sports a lot. Football I like, but you see, I'm biased in football. If it is not Black Stars, that it's not a Ghana team that is playing, it's difficult for me to support. You see, I can't just get up and take Manchester United, Chelsea, and take one and support, because I don't seem to have interest in either of them. So I'm a bit skewed in football. The other sport that I used to do when I was in, what do you call that sport? Playing games like chess. I used to play chess in Russia when I was in Russia. Yeah, so that's the indoor game that I play. And for exercise, what I do is either rope skipping or basket riding. I have my basket here, I ride around this area, and I pack my basket, shower. The youth of late, they are beyond encouragement. Because, you see, what happens is the way we used to take our time and the way we used to do things like, okay, let me wait. When I get to this and then I'll get this. When I get to that, they are not like that. Today, all of them, if you just complete university, you want a car, especially the ladies. You see, one of the problems I have in the ministry as a chief director is civil servant. Your salary is 800 a month. The disposal of scrap cars like V8 that the ministry cannot maintain. You can't forward that as you auction one to you. I can't do that. But that is the misplaced priority. So for me, my message to the youth would be it is not, look, Ghana is richer today than when we were growing up. It is the patience. It is the patience, and they should know their priorities. You see, you see a lady holding 2 phones, and he's saying that I want money to rent a house. Meanwhile, the rent is about 8,000 Ghana cedis. The phone he's holding is 12,000 Ghana cedis. Do you really need to go looking for money to rent, or take a boyfriend to get money to rent for? You see, so my advice to the youth is take your time, wait for the right time to come, and I'm not saying that just go and sleep. Wait for the right time. Do your bits, but wait for the right time. Don't jump the gun. I'll give you another example. At the ministry, I brought some estate developers to come and talk to them, and talk to them how they can support them. They told them that if anybody has 4,000 to deposit, they can give the fellow the land, and they start building, they do this, then you'll be paying small, you need to pay 500 cedis a month and things like that. You know what? They all, in their meeting, they all got that. Oh, no. Chief director should source money for them and then make initial deposit for them. I said, because, no, it's too costly for them to do 4,000 because, so I said, okay, the ladies, raise up your phones, let me see. They are all iPhones. Would you have? And I said, you all have the plot. Each of you, the mobile phone is a plot. How many of you are prepared to give the mobile phone up in order to secure the plot? No. You see, so it's priority. We are not actually poor. It's just that we overshoot. Yeah. So as you go out of this place, know that your time will come. So when you get a job, get anything, take your time step by step. Don't jump.